welcome to lesson 2. This is the second in the series of the Chakra series. This is Swadisthana. So Swadisthana is the second of the chakras that we're going to explore today. So the last session was Muladhara, which was at the perineum, the very base of the spine, and we've been working through that. So hopefully you've done enough work on that centre now to really find that grounding. So now we're working with Swadisthana, and Swadisthana sits, so if you imagine the spine, it's sort of like right on the lower back, and it works with around the sexual organs, so like around the womb space on a woman. And the positive aspects of this centre is creativity, sexuality, passion, and relationships. A lot of stuff that we go through in our lives to do with family and relationships and friendships and things, they all dwell in this space. It's a space of feeling. It's where we sort of feel, have experiences. Like a lot of trauma can actually be stored in this centre as well. When you've ever been in an argument or had confrontations and things, it can all sort of sit in this centre. So it can be blocked actually by fear, by trauma, and sometimes envy and pride, jealousy, that kind of thing can all sort of block this centre. So we're going to work through a series of poses now that are going to help to open up this space, open up this centre, and then we will work through some breath work as well, and we're going to hold a particular mudra today too. So when you're ready, what you will need with you is just your mat and enough space to work through these. They're not too intense, but there are moments within this sequence that you might find get a little bit intense. So always listen to your body and move as fast or as slow as feels right for you. So we're going to start in Thunderbolt pose. So as you can see, I'm sat up here on my knees. I'm going to show you from the side what that looks like. So in Thunderbolt pose, we sit like this, just on your heels. Now, if that's uncomfortable for you, you might want to perhaps pop something under your legs there so that it feels more comfortable. Or if you're really just not comfortable sitting like that, you could perhaps put your legs out to the side. But try if you can to just sit down, lengthen through your spine so you're getting a real natural shape through the spine. So remember, the spine isn't dead straight, is it? The spine's got a curve in it. So that's the natural curve that we're looking for. Now to find that, you might want to have a go at just tilting your pelvis forward and back till you get to a point where you sort of feel like, that feels like my neutral spine centre. And then holding that there. So just take a couple of deep breaths for me. We're going to make this into a sun salutation. Just exhale, release, drop your shoulders. And again, just inhale, bring yourself in the moment. And exhale. On your next breath, take a deep breath in. Reach your hands out, and as you exhale, push back into downward dog. So you're sitting your hips up and back and looking towards your thighs. Just take a deep breath there. Slowly float forwards into plank. Come down onto your knees. And exhale, lower yourself down to the ground. And as you inhale, just lift and squeeze, rolling the shoulders back. And exhale, sit back into child pose for me for a moment. So just sitting back there, just breathe. And then slowly come back into your Thunderbolt pose. So bringing your knees together, sitting up nice and tall. Just take your time with this. So we're just going to take a deep breath in. Exhale. And then inhale, reach forwards, hands come up. Push back into downward dog as you exhale. So sitting your hips up and back. Float forwards into plank. Down onto your knees. Exhale, lower to the ground again. And inhale, lift and squeeze, rolling the shoulders back. Exhale, push back into child pose. Good. And again, rise up for thunderbolt pose. Okay, so there's nothing really too strenuous about this. It gives you a bit of space in between to just breathe, to just be present in the moment. So take a deep breath in again. Exhale, just release the shoulders down. And as you inhale now, come forwards, curl the toes under as you exhale, pushing back into downward dog. Float forwards into your plank. So again, coming down on your knees. Exhale, lower to the ground. Inhale, lift and roll your shoulders. Exhale, pushing back into child pose. Rise up on your next inhale, lengthen and exhale. Good, so we're going to add to this now. Deep breath in, reaching out. Exhale, push back into downward dog. Float forwards into your plank. So this time if you want to, you can stay in a full plank. Bend at your elbows to lower, halfway, and inhale through into up dog. Or just continue into cobra if you prefer. Now from here we're going to push back into downward dog. So you're lifting your hips up and back. See if you can lift your right leg in the air. Bend the knee and sweep that leg through, planting it down on the ground, and just dropping the back knee as you rise up into a high lunge. So we're just going to squeeze and extend through there, just arching through your back. And as you exhale, we're going to sweep down into what we call the monkey god. So we're going to just extend the front leg and reaching your hands down over each side, and just feel that stretch. Slowly rock forwards, hands to the ground and push back into downward dog, hips up and back. Float forwards into your plank. So knees on or off the ground again as we exhale, lower. Inhale through. Exhale back into downward dog. And left leg this time, lift it high in the air. Bend the knee, swing the leg and plant it down, dropping your back knee down, and again just rising up to where you can. Squeeze and extend through your body. And slowly straighten the front leg as you reach your hands down to the ground, bringing your nose towards the knee. Just take a couple of deep breaths here. And again, slowly rock forwards, hands to the ground, slide that leg back, pushing back into downward dog. Good. Float forwards again, so let's just keep that heat in the body. Exhale, lower halfway. Inhale through into up dog. Sorry, I keep cutting my head off on this, don't I? Exhale, pushing back into downward dog. Right leg extends again, so really reach that right leg. Bend your knee and sweep the leg through, planting it down, dropping the back knee again. Rising forwards and up, squeeze and extend to where you can. And slowly straightening that front leg, hands either side, tucking your nose down towards the knee. Roll forward, hands to the ground, push back into downward dog, hips up and back. Exhale, come forwards again into plank, shoulders over the wrists. Exhale, lower. Inhale, your up dog or cobra. Exhale, back into downward dog. Left leg this time, lift it high. Can you sweep that leg through, planting it down and dropping your back knee. And again, just rising up to where you can, lunging through your legs. Gently release and fold. So there's a little bit of balance involved in this. So just try and stay as steady as you can. Wonderful. Slowly coming forwards. slide that leg back, so just step it back to where you can and push back into downward dog. Good. I'm going to show you from the front this time. So we've got 2 more to do. So sitting your hips up and back, space between the shoulders and the ears. Good. Gently float forwards into your plank. Exhale, lower, knees on or off. Inhale through into up dog or cobra. And exhale back into downward dog. Right leg lift, so just bringing your left heel towards the ground. Bend the knee and swing that leg through, planting it down. Drop the back knee and rising up again. So really try and reach forward. So you're pushing forwards here into the legs. So that increases the stretch on the hip flexor on this side. As you exhale, start to straighten that leg. Hands come down either side and fold. Slowly come forwards, hands to the ground and push back into downward dog. Float forwards again into your plank. One more time. Exhale, lower. Inhale, push it up and through. Exhale, back into downward dog. Good. Left leg reaches this time. Bending the knee, sweep that leg through. Planting it down and dropping your back knee. And then again, we're reaching up to where we can. Good. Slowly and gently rock forward, straightening that leg. Hands come down. Now for some that might feel like a nice stretch, and for others it might feel quite difficult. So just stay with where you are. If you need to soften that knee at all, then you can. Hands to the ground, push back into downward dog. And just hold your downward dog for a moment, bring some space between the shoulders and the ears. Slowly come down onto your knees, bring your knees together and sit back into thunderbolt pose. So that's just warmed up now. Got that heat flowing through the body. So we're going to bring ourselves up to doing some standing poses on the next one. So slowly come forwards again as you inhale, lift your hips up and back, bending your knees and stepping your feet back into the centre. Feet together or hip width apart. Fold forwards and down. So just for a moment, just relax your shoulders and your jaw, just looking towards your knees. And gently softening your knees and inhale, rise up into a nice intense pose. So just sit down into it for a moment, just breathe. And rise all the way up. So enjoy this lengthening of your body just for a moment. Just a nice big stretch. And exhale, releasing your hands back behind you. Open through your chest, rolling the shoulders back and down. And we're going to step your feet nice and wide. I'm just going to move this over a tad. That's it. So feel free to adjust your mats any way that you need to. We're going to be working forward facing and then going either side. So make sure you don't have to move around too much and you can still see me. So heels nice and aligned, toes pointing out. We're going to squat down into our warrior squat or goddess pose. So we're just going to sink down into the legs, lift through your chest, squeeze in the buttocks and really focus around Swadisthana. So imagine it like a 6-petaled lotus flower and it's an orange colour. So try and really visualise that around this centre, like a wheel or a flower opening out, spinning through the front and the back of the body, extending a warm orange colour. So just breathe through that colour now. Breathe that essence through the body. Breathe. strong within. Okay, are you ready? We're going to inhale, extend through your arms, and as you exhale, reaching your arms up and out, and just try and sink a little bit further. Good. So, as we hold this pose, what's happening here is it's allowing us to bring some purity to that centre. It's allowing us to allow some heat to move through the body. So each inhale, we're bringing life force energy there, and each exhale, you're just letting go. So how does this feel for you right now? Are your knees starting to collapse? Can you bring your knees just a little bit wider? Can you sink any deeper into your legs? Feel that heat. Feel it moving. We're going to transition from this pose into Sun Warrior in a moment. Just stay here for a minute. Good. Just taking your hands around the back, see if you can open through the chest and just sink a little bit further. Good. Slowly and gently rising up. We're going to turn towards the right wall, so turn the left heel out, right toes towards the wall, and reaching your right arm up, we're going to arch over into Sun Warrior. So you're just looking towards the armpit, towards the right wall, as you sink down into the legs. So breathe and hold that position. So it should feel like a really nice stretch down here. Work's going on here and here. Breathe into it where you can. Open through the shoulders and the chest. And as you squeeze the buttock on the back leg, you should find that you can go just a little bit deeper with it. Stay here for one more moment. Breathe and hold. And then slowly and gently, we're going to revolve, straighten the front leg and bring your hands down over the thigh. Now, if you feel too distant, you can bring the back foot in, but bring your hips over this front leg and just fold there for me for a moment. Nice deep breaths. Just holding there. Good. And then on your next breath, we're going to lift the back heel. Walk your hands back up, and we're going to extend out into Warrior 3. So we extend through the arms, lifting the back leg and hinging forwards. Okay, so looking like this. So we extend the leg back, extend the arms overhead. Try and breathe into it where you can. Wonderful, then slowly lower that leg back down. Good. We've got one more balance to keep that heat coming through the body. It's called King Dancer. So we're going to soften your front knee, take a hold of the left foot, foot into the hand and open through the heart centre. So breathe and extend. Really opening through that hip. Slowly and gently release and relax and just stepping the feet nice and wide. Good, so just take a breath there and allow that heat to rise and feeling stable as well. So nicely in control in this one. Okay, let's try this on the other side. So we're going to take your left foot towards the left wall, turn your right heel out, lift through the chest, and when you're ready, oh no, what am I doing? Sorry, we're coming into your warrior goddess first of all, aren't we? So sinking down into the legs, lifting through your chest. See, you were all trying to will me not to do this one, weren't you? Sinking down and breathe. So take a few deep breaths, just stay in the legs. I know this leg is probably screaming at you right now, and this one doesn't feel too bad, hopefully. But the more we breathe into the muscle, the more stamina we create there, and we push through a threshold of what we thought we could handle. We can actually end up handling more. We get stronger, we're able to get deeper, and our movements through life just so much easier. See, Swadisthana holds a lot of our direction in life, as it's around that area, like where the hips are. So a lot of the fear that perhaps dwells in there can be affected by this. So the 6 petals that we talked about, I will go through what each one of those represents at the end of the practice when we go into our breath work. But there's a lot to do with affection and pity, disdain, those kind of things. When you can feel sort of like jealous or suspicious, they represented by some of the petals. So there's a lot going on in there that can really affect, so we're just going to reach the arms up and out, can really affect our lives, our relationships, our friendships, how we present ourselves. So that's why we're doing what we're doing here, to really gain that connection. Okay, when you're ready, rising up. So then turning your left toes towards the left wall, turn your right heel out and toes in, lengthen through the spine, extend through the arms, and we're going to sink down into that left leg as we reach the right arm. And just try and reach yourself up and round towards that left wall, squeezing the buttocks on the back leg and sink down. Just check that front knee, you should be able to see your big toe just round it. Sinking down to where you can. Try and get wider if it feels okay for you, so you can sink into a 90-degree angle with that front leg. Reaching back to where you can. Feel a nice separation between the rib and the hip. Try and stay, try and breathe. Be strong with this as much as you can. Because it never lasts as long as we believe it will. It's always over sooner than we think. So just take one last deep breath here, and slowly, like a cartwheel, we're going to revolve, bringing the hands down. You might want to bring the back foot in slightly and fold down over this thigh. So don't worry if you can't reach the floor, just stay with your hands onto your shin or your ankle, wherever you can reach. But if you can touch the floor, you can have hands either side and bringing your nose down towards the knee. And just breathe and hold there. Try and relax the shoulders and the jaw, just to where you can. And remember those deep breaths, build that stamina in the muscle. Fabulous. Slowly soften that knee and walk your hands back up. So we're going to come into warrior one this time, like we did on the other side. So make sure you've got plenty of room. We're going to hinge forwards into that thigh and extend your leg, extending your arms overhead and sinking down. I'm going to do that from the front this time. I did it from the side last time. So hinging forwards, length through the spine, and with your hips, just try and drop that top hip down a little bit more, so you're not lifting up and out to the side, you're bringing it level with your hips. That's it. And then you can extend the arms overhead, breathe and hold to where you can, and slowly release. Step that back foot in just part way. So we're still working on this leg at the moment. We're going to pick up your right foot this time into the hand, extend the other arm, and again try and bring that hip down as you hinge. Open through the hip and extend. Stay strong in this pose, as strong as you can. Lengthen and breathe. You can use Guru Mudra that we learnt on Muladhara if you want to. That helps you to stay grounded. So it'd be interesting how much work you did with Muladhara as to how grounded you feel in this pose now. Nice one. Slowly release. Well done. Okay, just stepping your feet nice and wide. Just relax and breathe. Stay strong with it. And we're slowly from here just going to hinge forwards and down. Relax your shoulders and your jaw. Turn your heels out, toes in. And just breathe for me for a moment. Very good. Take one last deep breath here. Just sitting those hips back a little bit further if you can. Don't worry if you can't get your hands to the floor, by the way. If you need to, just bring your hands up here. Or if you want something in front of you to place your hands onto, that's fine as well. And then slowly start to walk your feet in. We're going to walk your feet so that your heels are just on the edge of the mat. Toes are just slightly off. Bend your knees and sink down into Hindi squat. I know. So just lift and lengthen. We're not going to stay in this for too long, but I'm going to add something to it that I'm not sure you've done before. We're going to place your left hand down on the ground. We're going to see if we can extend your right arm as you sink down into those legs. So reach back towards the hand, breathing into it. Use drishti, your focus, to really watch where you're going. Let the body go with you. Try and stay with that. It's not an easy pose to do, so come out of it if you need to. Slowly come back down into the centre. Try and stay here. Breathe, breathe, breathe. And slowly switching it over. So just adjust your pose if you need to. Reach that arm and looking back over the shoulder. Nice deep breaths. Try and stay. Hips might come up a little bit higher. Breathe. And then slowly come back down in the Hindi squat. Ooh. Lower your hips just a tiny bit. And release your hands out in front and push back into downward dog. Ooh. Just breathe into there. Shake your poor legs off. But there should be so much heat now running through your hips, your legs, everywhere. Fabulous. Slowly come forwards into plank. Shoulders over the wrists, knees on or off as we exhale, lower. Inhale, push it up and through, squeeze. And just landing your feet, knees wide. Sit back and breathe. So just relaxing the shoulders and the jaw there. Just take your time. So just listening to your body now. Where is that heat? What was the most struggle there? Where was the fear there? Was there any fear? Did you feel like, oh, I don't think I can do that? Or I don't want to do that? Or that doesn't feel good? So just listening to your body, where you're at right now, what feels good, what doesn't feel good. We're going to hold a pose called a frog. So I'm going to show you this from the side. You may have done this before. You're going to take your legs really quite wide and pressing your feet out. But I want to make sure that your feet aren't pointing like this. They're flexed like this. So you need to make sure you're in a position that feels good for you. Again, if you need some support or comfort under your knees, then go and get a blanket or something now to pop under there. And then when you're ready, just coming down onto your elbows and sit your hips back. So you're going to feel quite a stretch there in the groin and in the inner thigh. So just breathe into the areas where you feel that most. So we're going to stay here just for a moment. Try and draw the shoulders down away from the ears. Tuck your chin in to lengthen the back of your neck. And there's nothing more that we need to do here, is just sit in it. Just stay in this pose. Just breathe. Now for some it might feel really quite natural, for others it's absolute agony. So just watch where you are right now. And then see if you can have a go at sitting back a little bit further. You can move your elbows back with you, so always try and make sure the elbows and shoulders are nice and aligned. Breathing into it. Take one last breath there, and then we're going to walk forwards now. So see if you can extend forwards a little way, so you're pressing but not lowering the hips fully to the floor. And just see how that changes things. It might make it feel nicer, it might make it feel worse. Just listening to your body of how that feels. Just relaxing the shoulders and the jaw. And slowly walking your hands back towards you and sitting back into it. Good. And just breathe and hold. Just stay with that. And you might want to try pulsing just a little bit. So just a little bit of a ballistic move. Pulsing back and forth. But just controlling it. If it's feeling really intense in your groin, then don't go any further than this point. Good. And just take one last deep breath here. And slowly walking your hands back in. We're going to bring the feet together and sit back. And then you can bring your knees in a little bit closer. So just come back to Thunderbolt one more time. So just let the legs relax. Allow your back to be back into that neutral position. And just analyse for a moment. How do you feel now? When you first got on your mat for this practice and you first did this pose, what's changed? What feelings do you get? Good. So, very gently, we're going to come down, bring your legs out in front of you. I'm going to hold our boat pose. So for this, take a hold of the backs of your knees and just lean back slightly for me, bringing your feet up. So just finding a point of balance there. Now, if that's too much, you can place your feet back down onto the ground, or you can keep them halfway up, or you can extend your arms and your legs fully. So choose what feels right for you. Lift through your chest and lengthen. But if you can, try and let go of your legs. But you've got to keep that point of balance that you don't rock forwards or rock backwards. So just hold that space for a moment there. And then if you can, hands in a prayer position. Okay, we're going to take the legs out wide, diamond shape, and straight. Try that again. Wide, diamond shape, straight. I'm going to move back over here just a tad. So try that again. So we've got straight legs, wide, diamond, straight. Keep your back nice and tall. Try not to arch your back as you do this. But you should feel that all in your tummy muscles, especially those lower abdominals. Hold and breathe. Slowly and gently release. You might want to cross your legs just there. Just stay in that position. Lift and lengthen. Fabulous. Okay, we're going to try that again in a moment. So just stretch around for a minute. Just moving around forwards and back as much as you can. Releasing any tension there. Very good. Okay, now you know what you're doing. And yes, you are going to feel it quite a bit in here. So sit this one out if you need to, or try it with us now if you can. So we're going to extend the legs again, feet either on the floor, halfway or fully extended. But make sure you lift your chest, keep your back nice and tall. Take the legs out, diamond and straight. We've got 5 of these. So out, diamond, straight. Make sure that you're breathing as well. Try not to hold your breath. Good. One more. Hold, hold, hold. Stay strong. And slowly and gently just release your legs down. Okay, we're going to lie down just for a moment. So slowly lower yourself down to the ground, arms by your side, and bring your feet in, hip width apart. So we normally do a bridge. It's a great one to finish with at the end of the practice. So when you're ready, just squeeze and lift your hips, clasp your hands and tuck your shoulders under. And just breathe and hold there for a moment. Just stay. So we're not doing anything else with this pose. We're just stretching out through those hip flexors. So pushing your feet down into the ground. Really open through the front of your body. Nice deep breaths. Wonderful. On your next breath, just slowly lowering your hips back down to the ground. Good. Spread your arms wide. Drop your knees one way and the head the other way. And just relax your back. Inhale, bring your knees back through to centre, and exhale the other way. Just turning your head. Slowly come back through to centre. Now just draw your knees in towards your chest, give them a little squeeze and rock around in any direction. Just loosen up any tension there in the lower back, because this is the region that we're working with Swadisthana Chakra. Wonderful. And just taking a hold of the backs of your knees now. Take a deep breath in and pull the knees away. And as you exhale, bring your nose towards the knees, knees towards the nose, and then inhale, extend away. And again, exhale, inhale, and exhale. Now if that's too much on your neck, you can just move the legs and leave your head on the ground if you prefer. But it does have a better effect when you reach up and squeeze. Exhale. Good. And then you can get quite vigorous with this pose. You can rock around and then see if you can rock enough that you actually come up to sitting. Just do 3 of those rolls and rise. Well done. Straighten through your legs. So extend through your arms, sit up tall, and exhale, fold forwards and down to where you can. Just relaxing the shoulders and the jaw. So don't go reaching for your toes. If just here is enough for you, or even if just here is enough for you, just stay in the position. When you start to reach your hands down, if your knees start doing this, then you've gone too far. So come back to a point before that happens. And just accept where you are today. Just relaxing the shoulders and the jaw. Just stay in the moment. Remember, you're in this for yourself, nobody else. So the only competition is with yourself. Just relax your shoulders, the jaw. Try and let your upper body become heavy over the legs. And this pose has a calming effect on the central nervous system, so it just allows you to feel calmness, feel relaxed, start to slow down. Wonderful. And then slowly and gently sit yourself back up. We're going to roll back down into the mat. So nice and controlled. Let your head relax down into the ground, and as you walk the feet in, just bring your big toes and heels together. And we're going to drop your knees wide, coming into butterfly pose. Now if you want to, you might want to prop yourself up with some bolsters. Get really comfortable on this. We're going to stay here for a little moment. So you might want to place something there just to hold the legs if they don't quite touch the floor. And you can place your hands just around your sacral centre, Swadisthana if you want to, or you can just let your arms be open and out to the side. Try and bring your palms up to the ceiling so that you can roll your shoulders back down into the ground. And just really expand into this. Feel that expansion. Feeling the separation through the ribs and the hips. That length in the back of your neck as you tuck the chin down. Just really deep, calming breaths. Just visualising the asana that you've done today. All of those poses that you've worked through. Which ones did you like? And which ones did you find difficult? And there are no right or wrong answers with that. It's whatever's personal to you. But just know that through regular practice, some of the things that you may have found difficult actually can start to become easy. Really expand your breathing. You've worked hard today, so this is your reward now. Just allowing yourself this time and this space. And I want you to really focus around the sacral centre, just around this area here. So for a female, around the womb space. And just feel, does it feel open? Does it feel expansive? Or does it feel closed off or tight? How do you feel in that area? Maybe this practice has brought up some emotion for you, has been working quite deeply around the hips and the pelvis today. Just allow yourself to be open, expansive. That's why you might want to reach your arms out to the side. It can feel really submissive, this pose, or any pose where you're lying on your back, front open. There's a tendency to want to cover ourselves, especially around the solar plexus. So trust yourself now. Trust that you're in a space where you're safe, where it's okay to be open. Because the more you allow yourself to open in this moment, the greater the benefits of what we're about to do next. So now you're feeling really nice and relaxed. We're going to bring those knees back into the centre. Take a hold of one knee with both hands. Extend the other leg. We're going to see if we can rock forward and back and slowly come back up to sitting. So we're just going to sit for a moment. So sit in a position that feels good for you. If it's not comfortable for you sat like this, you might want to prop yourself up against something so you've got some support on your back, because we're going to be here for a little while now, working with a sound and a mudra. So the mudra that we're going to do, first of all, you're going to place your hands in a position where you've got your thumbs pushed out, your index fingers pushed out, and the rest of your fingers, so your middle finger, ring finger and little finger, you're going to bend them inside. So you're holding a position like this. So as you can see from there. So if you imagine you put your hands together and you curled your middle, ring and little fingers in, and you just put your index fingers and thumbs together and just hold in that position. You can hold it right here if you want to, or you can just hold it out in front, wherever feels most comfortable for you. This is called the Yoni Mudra, and the Yoni Mudra, it allows us to go into a space, a deep inner space. This mudra basically means the seal of the inner source. And the word yoni means womb. So it's where we're all created, isn't it? It's where we begin our journey in this life. And the womb is the vessel of creation. It's a space where all life is created. So that's where we're going to go right now. We'll go into a deeper space in our meditation when we go into Shavasana in a moment. But for now, we're going to stay holding the Yoni Mudra. And I'm going to give you a sound, a Taoist sound that allows you to work with that centre. The sound is ooh. It's a very, very simple sound. And with each breath, we're going to go ooh, okay? So you can follow along with me. Do as many as you can. If you get tired and you want to rest, then by all means you can lay yourself down instead. You will still receive the benefits of the sound through hearing it over this recording. You don't have to physically do it yourself. So, nice length through your spine. Try and sit up tall. Even if you've got your back up against something, try not to be slouching. Allow that energy flow through Sushumna, through that central channel. So just take a couple of deep breaths first of all. So inhale through your nose and just exhale through your mouth. And again, just inhale and exhale. So on your next breath, we're going to add the ooh sound. Try 4 more breaths for me. So just relax all efforts now with the sound. Just back to the natural, normal breath. And in a moment, we're going to find a space on the floor to lie down, making yourself as comfortable and warm as possible. And with your mudra, you can either keep hold of the yoni mudra or you can release your hands now and let go. This is a point where we're just going to find a space on the ground to lie down, using pillows, blankets, socks, jumpers, anything that you want, as long as you feel nice and calm and relaxed. And you can either lie here in Shavasana, or if you prefer, you can lie in a bit more of a fetal position where you're curled up. But just try and find a position where you're not going to need to move too much. But this is quite a nurturing visualization now that we're going to enter into. So when you feel ready, bring yourself into that comfortable position now. If you want to place your hands around the sacral centre, you can, and that will just allow you to bring some warmth to that space. Just focusing on the natural, normal breath for a moment. Just inhale and exhale completely. Just let the vibration of the sound that you just made just move through you now. Allowing it to work on all aspects of your being. Physical, mental, emotional and spiritual bodies. On your next breath, see if you can bring your awareness to being like a baby in a womb. To being in the womb space. So bringing the consciousness to a space where we're not conscious. When we're born from the womb, we're not conscious of it. But it's a space that brings you everything you need before you're ready to emerge out into the world. So it's a space deep inside, with soft walls, warm, nourishing. So just allow yourself to have that experience for a moment. You may get a feeling like waves, where you may feel like you're moving around, maybe moving side to side, or up and down, just gently rocking. in this space, you are attached to the mother. You are feeding from the mother. You have everything that you need within this space. It is keeping you safe from everything that's outside in that environment. Because inside here, you are warm and comfortable. And you are just gently flowing with the motions within the womb. Listening to the rhythmic sounds around you. And as you allow yourself to fully submerge in this moment, feel so relaxed. Start to feel deeply calm and quiet. Because in this space, you are being nurtured. You are inside a vessel that allows you to grow. It gives you everything that you need to grow. Feel that rhythm. Feel that gentle flow as you bob around, feeling nourished. In your own little space. Knowing that you are already loved. Even before you were born. But this space for you right now is a sanctuary, a place for you to heal, you to feel nurtured and safe. And now within that womb space where you are, see in there with you a 6-petaled orange lotus, beautiful lotus flower. The colour of orange often gives off a happy feeling, a calm, content feeling. You may agree, but it always reminds me of the smell of oranges. That instantly makes me feel good, feel happy, feel natural. So look at that lotus flower. Look at that orange flower there with you right now. And we're going to look at each of those 6 petals. These 6 petals represent the negative aspects of nurture. And all of these petals throughout your life will need cleansing and purifying. The practice that you have experienced today is one way to cleanse and purify these petals. But right now, within this womb, right with this lotus flower, I'm going to go through each one with you for you to acknowledge and to cleanse. So take a hold of the first leaf, whichever one resonates with you first. So the first one is affection. Take a hold of that leaf, that petal. Think about affection right now. The word affection, what does that mean to you? How have you felt that in your life? Where has that shown up? Try not to overanalyze the question. Just holding the petal. Think about affection. See if any emotion arises through this. Where have you received affection? And where have you given affection? Do you feel lack of affection or an abundance of affection? And as this small being within the womb, holding on to this lotus flower and this particular petal of affection, allow some tears to flow. Let them flow down onto this petal to cleanse, to purify. Because we can bring ourselves affection. We don't have to wait to be given it. And sometimes we can give out affection, but not really receive enough back in return. So be honest about that. And let those tears flow. And then take a hold of the next petal. So leave that petal now. Try not to re-indulge into it. Just let it be. The second petal represents pity. This is one of the chains of the ego, pity. Our self-pity, or pity that we have for others. Where does that show up for you? Where in your life have you felt that? Where do you feel pity? And again, just breathing into that. Allow any tears to flow now onto that petal. Cleanse yourself of pity. Pity you have for yourself or for others. And then moving to the third petal. And this petal represents destruction. And again, it may reveal to you destructive behaviour of your own or destructive behaviour of those around you. It might be that destruction in the world bothers you. It might not be something directly linked to you, but that does trigger you. Destruction. Where is that within you? Sometimes we form habits that could be described as destructive. So deeply feel that destruction. Feel into this petal. Allow your tears to roll down. Cleanse the petal. And then moving around to the fourth petal. Petal of delusion. Where does this show up for you in your life? Where have you felt deluded? These petals can be very closely linked. Recognising where they fit within your life, within your patterns, your habits. Sometimes the delusion can be things that we tell ourselves, convince ourselves of things, or maybe trying to convince somebody else of something. Where does that show up for you in your life? And try not to confuse delusion with good feelings. Sometimes your intuition can be correct, but we don't want to believe it, and that is where the delusion is. And that breeds a mistrust within ourselves. So allow yourself to shed those tears over the petal of delusion. And now move your awareness to the fifth petal, disdain. Where have you felt disdain in your life before? Maybe you're feeling that now. How many times has something stopped you in your tracks and made you feel this way? And how do you respond to that? It may take you a little while to feel for where these affect you within your life. Some it may be quite obvious and others it might not be. So don't worry if nothing comes to mind too quickly. You can always come back to this video and try again at any point you like. And the thoughts, the answers usually are different each time, because they are based on your reality right now, where you are right now. So allow those thoughts, those feelings of disdain that you have experienced through your life, bring them into your mind right now. And any tears that flow from this, you might not be physically shedding tears here. Just visualize as that baby in the womb, those tears falling on that petal, cleansing, purifying. As we now move round to the sixth petal of Swadisthana lotus, that beautiful orange colour. And this petal represents suspicion. So bring to mind now suspicion within your life. Where have you felt suspicious? Or been on the receiving end of suspicion? Being aware of the thoughts, the feelings that come up around this. How has that made you feel? Remember, this centre, Swadhisthana, is all about the feelings that we get. And each one of these petals is related to those feelings. So now the sixth petal, the petal of suspicion. And when you've found those thoughts, those feelings, allow those tears now to just wash, purify and cleanse that petal. And just take a deep breath there. And when you look now at the lotus flower, it appears to be glowing a really bright, vibrant orange now. Still contains that warmth. And very soon you will emerge from the womb, ready to be born into your world. So just relaxing all efforts now. Bring your awareness back into your breathing, inhaling and exhaling completely. Feeling nurtured, feeling comforted. After following this video, you should feel a shield of protection around you, holding this space for you long after you've finished with this video. So be gentle with yourself, be kind to yourself, nurture yourself. I always find it interesting when a person falls pregnant and they start eating better and drinking better and wanting to do exercises that do them good because they're growing somebody within them, but they're not willing to do that for themselves when they're not growing somebody with them. So imagine now, whether you're male or female, it doesn't matter, that you are nurturing a small inner part of you now that dwells here at Swadisthana. This is your space of creation, and who you want to be and what you want to create in this world comes from this center. So we need to make sure we cleanse those 6 petals often, so it doesn't hold us back from really truly bringing into being what we want to create, what we want to be, the gifts that we bring to the world. So take a few deep breaths now, inhaling and exhaling completely. And just start to move and stretch your body, becoming aware of the room that you're in, the floor that you're on. And when you feel wide awake, just slowly sit up and open your eyes. Wonderful. Just take a moment. Inhale, extend, palms together, and exhale, hands to heart center. Namaste.